Hello, my little love. Did you have a good day today? I hope something made you smile. Now take a slow breath, relax your shoulders, and let your mind get soft and quiet. It's time for a gentle bedtime story. Once upon a time, long before anyone alive today was born, and long before their grandparents were born, and long before even the oldest stories were first told, the night sky looked a little different than it does now. The stars were there, yes, burning with their steady cold fire, turning slowly through their great wheel above the sleeping earth. But there were gaps in the pattern, places where a star was missing, where the darkness between the other stars was a little wider than it needed to be, a little emptier. Like a sentence with a word left out that you can almost hear but cannot quite find. This is the story of how one of those places was filled. In those old and quiet days, there was a young man named Persephone who lived in a small village at the edge of a wide, slow river. The river was brown and deep and moved with a patience that suggested it had been moving for so long that it had learned there was no need to hurry, that wherever it was going would still be there when it arrived, and that the journey itself was worth taking slowly. The reeds along its banks grew tall and close together, and in the evening light, they turned a warm amber gold, and the frogs that lived among them sang their low and comfortable song from sundown to deep into the night. Persephone, which was a long name and so his family called him simply Saz, was a shepherd. Every morning before the sun had finished rising, he would take his flock of sheep out onto the long hillside above the village, where the grass was thick and soft and the sheep could graze contentedly for hours. Moving slowly across the hillside like soft white clouds that had decided to come down and rest for a while on the earth. And every evening as the sun went down and the air turned cool and the first stars came out, he would bring them home again, counting them as they went through the gate one by one, making sure each one was accounted for. He loved his sheep with the particular love that comes from spending your days in quiet company with creatures that depend on you and trust you. They knew his voice. They came to him when he called, not because they had been trained to, but because they understood, in the simple and reliable way of animals, that he was someone who could be trusted. He knew each of them individually, their faces and their personalities, the one who always wanted to be first through the gate, the one who preferred the shade, the old ewe, who had been with his family since before he was born and who walked beside him sometimes like a companion rather than a charge. But the thing that Saz loved most, even more than his sheep and even more than the river and the reeds and the amber evening light, was the night sky. He had loved it for as long as he could remember, from the time when he was very small. And his grandmother would take him outside in the summer evenings and hold him on her lap and point upward and tell him the names. Not the names of all the stars, there are too many of those to name in a single evening. But the names of the patterns, the shapes that people had found in the stars over the long centuries of looking up. The bear and the hunter and the river and the swan and the crown and all the rest. Each one a story told in light, drawn with patience across the dark. He had learned every one of them. He could find them all, in any season, in any kind of dark. With the practiced ease of someone who has looked so long and so often that the patterns have become as familiar as the faces of friends. On clear nights when the air was very still and the sky was very dark, he could see the soft smear of light that ran from horizon to horizon, the great river of stars that contained so many individual lights they blurred together into one, and he would stand and look at it for a long time. Feeling something that was large and quiet and impossible to fully describe. Something like being very small and very important at the same time. He had a habit that the other shepherds teased him about gently. He talked to the stars. Not out loud, or not usually. He talked to them in the way you sometimes talk to things you love when you are alone with them and there is no one nearby to hear, in a private murmur. A running commentary on what he saw and what he noticed and what he was thinking. He asked them questions he did not expect them to answer. He told them about his day and about the sheep and about the things he had been wondering about. He thanked them for being there. He had, in particular, a favorite part of the sky. It was a region in the northern part of the sky, a place where 5 bright stars formed a loose and lovely pattern that reminded him of something he could never quite name. Not quite a person and not quite an animal. Something in between, something that felt familiar to him in a way he could not account for. He spent more time looking at this region than any other, and when he was there in his thoughts, which was often, he felt the way you feel in a place you have loved for a long time, at home, at ease, held. But there was a space in this pattern that troubled him slightly, the way a missing tooth troubles the tongue without meaning to. 4 of the 5 stars were placed just right. Spaced with the elegant naturalness of something that has found its arrangement by the same deep order that arranges everything. But the 5th was not quite in the right place, or rather, there was a place where a 5th star wanted to be, a place the pattern was reaching toward, and that place was empty. He had looked at this empty space for years and wondered about it. He had asked his grandmother, who had pointed out the pattern to him in the first place, and she had looked at it with him and said she did not know. But that she had always felt it too, that the pattern was reaching for something not yet there. He had asked the old shepherd who had been tending flocks on these hills for 60 years. And that old man had looked and been quiet for a long time and then said that some things are complete and some things are becoming and you cannot always tell which is which until later. One autumn night, when the air was very cold and very clear and the stars were burning with the particular sharp brightness that cold clear nights bring out in them, Saz was sitting on the hillside with his sheep settled and sleeping around him, their warm breath making small clouds in the cold air, and he was looking, as he so often did, at that northern region of sky and its almost complete pattern. And something new happened. He had seen many things in the sky over his years of watching. He had seen stars that moved, the slow dignified processional of the planets and the sudden bright scratch of a meteor falling. He had seen clouds eat the sky and storms build on the horizon and the deep orange of a moon coming up so large and close it seemed almost possible to reach it. He had seen the sky do many things. But he had never seen a star simply appear. Yet that is what happened. Very slowly, so slowly that at first he was not sure it was really happening and thought it might be some trick of his tired eyes. A light grew in the empty place in the pattern. Not a flash, not a sudden appearance, but a gradual brightening, as if something that had been there all along, but invisible was slowly becoming visible. The way something you have been looking for sometimes becomes visible not because it has moved but because your eyes have finally learned how to find it. He sat very still. He barely breathed. He watched the light grow. It grew steadily and gently, finding its own pace, not hurrying, and as it grew it settled, finding its position in the pattern with the certainty of something arriving home. Something that knows exactly where it belongs and is simply making its way there. By the time it reached its full brightness, which was not the loudest or most dramatic brightness in the sky but a good, warm, reliable brightness, the steady kind that you can always find, the pattern was complete. Saz looked at it for a long time. Then he said, in a whisper that was just barely out loud, addressed to the new star directly and specifically, I see you. I have been waiting for you, though I did not know what I was waiting for. A warmth came into the cold air around him. Not a dramatic warmth, not a warmth that made him look around for its source, but a subtle and pervasive warmth. The kind that makes you realize how cold you have been by showing you what it feels like to be less cold. It moved over him like a hand held briefly and gently on his shoulder by someone who wants you to know they are there. He looked back at the star. It burned with its steady light, no different from a moment before. But he felt something had changed between them, if you can have a change between a person and a star, and he thought perhaps you could. Now he did not know, sitting on his cold hillside with his sleeping sheep, breathing their warm clouds into the air around him, that what he had witnessed was the arrival of a soul into the sky. In those old days, the gods sometimes made a place in the heavens for those they loved and honored, a permanent and shining home in the dark for those whose light deserved to continue. This new star had once been someone, a being of great gentleness and loyalty and quiet courage, whose story had been long and full and whose time on the earth had been complete, and who had been given, as a gift and an honor, a home in the sky where that light could go on burning for as long as stars burn. But Saz did not know any of this sitting on his hillside. He only knew what he could see, which was a star in a place that had been empty and was now filled, and the feeling it gave him, which was the feeling of something that had been almost right becoming entirely right, the feeling of a pattern completing itself with a quiet and final satisfaction. He went home that night later than usual, walking down the hillside under the full sky with his staff in his hand and the sheep moving around him in their gentle way. And he felt full of something he could not name, a mix of wonder and calm and the particular happiness of having been present for something that mattered, even if he did not yet fully understand what it was. He told his grandmother in the morning. She was old and had seen many things and was not easy to astonish. But when he described the gradual brightening and the warm air and the feeling of something arriving home, she was quiet for a long time and her eyes had a look in them that he recognized as the look of someone understanding something they had sensed but not articulated. She said, "Some lights are too important to go out. The world needs them to stay." He thought about this for a long time. He thought about it over the following days as he went about his work, the sheep moving across the hillside and the river moving through its reeds and the days doing what days do, being full of small and particular things that are each worth noticing if you are the kind of person who notices things, which Saz was. And he came to understand something that he would spend the rest of his life finding new ways to understand, which is the mark of a truly important understanding, that it keeps opening, keeps revealing new rooms inside itself the more carefully you look. He understood that some things persist, that the world is not made only of things that come and go and are finished, but also of things that find a way to continue, not by refusing to change but by changing into something that can last. A person becomes a memory, and a memory becomes a story. And a story becomes a star, and a star burns for so long that the distinction between it and forever is too small to measure. He understood that the empty places in patterns are not mistakes. They are waiting. They are the space that something is growing toward. And the waiting is part of the becoming, and the becoming is more beautiful for having taken the time it took. And he understood that when you have been looking at the sky long enough, which means when you have been paying loving and patient attention to something long enough, you become capable of seeing things that a casual glance would miss. The star had been there, perhaps, in some form, for longer than he knew. He had been able to see it because he had been looking. The new star became his closest companion in the sky. He knew all the others well, had names for them and feelings about them and long familiarity with their ways. But this one was different. This one felt like someone he had met, like a relationship that had had a beginning. He could remember, which gave it a different quality than the ones he had simply always known. He watched it through the seasons as it rose and set with the earth's turning, always in its place in the pattern. Always burning with its good and steady light. He watched it on clear nights and tried to see it through thin cloud. A fainter version of itself, but still there, still findable if you knew where to look. He watched it from the hillside and from the river bank and from the roof of his family's house on summer nights when the heat made sleeping inside impossible. And everyone came out to feel the night air and look at the sky. And every time he found it, he felt that same small warmth in the cold. That same sense of being seen and of seeing. That same quiet and wordless recognition between someone who is looking and something that can be found. Years passed. Saz grew older. His grandmother was no longer there to sit with him under the stars, but he felt her still in his knowledge of the sky, which had come from her, and in the way he looked at it, which she had taught him. He had children of his own now, and he took them outside on clear evenings and held them on his lap the way she had held him. And he pointed upward and told them the names and the stories. And when he came to the northern part of the sky and the pattern of 5 stars with the newest one bright in its proper place, he would tell them this story, the story of the empty space and the gradual light and the warmth in the cold air. He told it slowly and gently, the way it deserved to be told. And his children listened with their faces tipped up toward the stars and their eyes wide with the particular openness that children have when they are hearing something true. The sky above them was very dark and very full. The stars were everywhere, more than you could count in a night, more than you could count in a lifetime. Each one burning with its patient and generous fire. Some of them close enough that their light reached you still warm, and some of them so far that the light leaving them now would not arrive here for thousands of years. But all of them there, all of them present in the only way that truly enormous distances allow. Which is as light, as the evidence of being, as the visible proof that something is shining. And in the northern part of the sky, in the pattern that his grandmother had first shown him, the 5th star burned with its warm and steady light. He looked at it for a long time, as he always did, with the sheep settled around him and his children leaning against his arms, growing heavy with the approach of sleep. Their breathing slowing into the long even rhythm of the almost dreaming. And the star burned on. As it always had, since the night it arrived. As it always would, for as long as stars burn. Which is longer than any story, longer than any memory, longer than anything we have words for. Some lights are too important to go out. That is why the sky is so full, little one. Every light up there is something that mattered enough to stay. Every star is a story that found its way into the sky and went on shining. And the sky holds all of them, every single one. Keeps them burning and keeps them in their right places. The patient enormous sky with room enough for all the light that has ever needed a home. Look up sometimes, when the night is clear and you are somewhere dark enough to see truly. Find the patterns. Find the familiar ones that have been there your whole life and the ones you are still learning. And know that somewhere in that great dark wheel of light, there is a place for every good and gentle thing, and that the empty spaces are not lost but waiting, and that the waiting always ends in arriving. Just like you arrived here tonight, warm and safe, at the end of a good day, with the whole long night of rest ahead of you. You did well today, my little love. Now let your eyes grow heavy, and let the night wrap around you like a soft blanket. Sleep well, sweet dreams, and rest deeply.